Hey, what's good guys? This is Chris from WearTesters.com. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel, and today we got the performance review on these bad boys right here. This is the PUMA Uproar. So starting off with the traction on these guys right here, this is probably my favorite feature of the shoe besides the overall fit, but we'll get into that later. And these guys feature multi-directional blade traction. I don't know really what to call it. There are some very small portions of herringbone, but for the most part, it's blade traction. Most of it is facing linear, so you're gonna get that front to back coverage. And then right here at the lateral side, there is a lateral portion. So if you have some lateral movements, it's going to be able to cover you on that front. I love it when tractions do that. I love it when you have lateral traction and linear traction. It's one of my favorite things about spiral traction because it covers everywhere, no matter what angle you're moving. And that's what these guys did. They were just fantastic. I gotta really give it to PUMA because this is their second basketball shoe from, man, I don't even know. It's been decades, dude. And they've come out with two shoes. The first one was the Clyde Court, and those were good, but these are just substantially better. And it's just interesting that, you know, two shoes in, they've already kind of like beat their last one. What's gonna happen next? I really don't know, but I'm curious to find out. Now, the cushion is probably my least favorite part, and that's something that I find interesting because it was one of my favorite parts on the Clyde Court. Now, what these guys offer is a mixture of their hybrid cushioning technology, but that is right there in the back. And their hybrid tech means that they have the energy beads, which is those little pimply looking things, as well as their Ignite foam, which is kind of like a rubbery type of foam, almost has a little bit of bounce to it. That stuff right there was used full length in the Clyde Court. Unfortunately, it's only right there in the heel. It's like a little puck, and I'm not a big fan of that. I never really use my heel, so for me, this being back there, it looks really cool, but it just wasn't functional. Now, the rest of the shoe, it is a EVA foam. I don't know what kind it is. I don't know if this is their Ignite foam. They haven't been very specific on their product descriptions, and it doesn't feel like Ignite foam underneath my feet. All I know is that the rest of the midsole is very firm. So if you are looking for court feel, you know, these definitely have that. However, they start off almost a little too heavy, so you kind of got to get used to them. Once they break in though, they definitely do feel nice. It's not quite Kyrie nice. I think that if they sat a little bit lower to the ground, I think that they'd be a little bit smoother because sometimes the transition can feel a little bit slappy or clunky. But again, that's my biggest gripe with the shoe is the cushion overall. I just don't think that it was quite as good as the last model. And the last model wasn't even fantastic or anything. It just was better than this one. Everything else in this shoe though is better than the last model as far as my personal preferences are concerned. So overall, if you like court feel, if you like that kind of like firm, stable ride, then these guys are going to be perfectly fine for you. If you're looking for something underfoot that gives you a ton of bounce, a ton of spring in your step, not going to be that shoe. Now, the materials are interesting because you have two different versions of the shoe so far. This is the latest version. Thank you to PUMA for sending these out. This is actually a really cool surprise. And they also sent these out a while back, and this is the All-Star version. Out of the two, I do prefer playing in the All-Star model. Now, the thing that I like about the All-Star pair is that they have the stronger materials or the overlay materials in the sections of the shoe that you kind of needed. It's like containing the rear of the foot as well as the top of the foot, right where you have kind of like those pressure points when you're making lateral movements. And then the midfoot and the toe cap area right there is just kind of like a textile. So you got very little break-in time required right here at the flex zone. You have some firmer material right here at the stress zone, and then they kind of like pair off and do the same thing right there in the back of the shoe. I love that. I think it feels great. It required very little break-in time, like I was saying, directly out of the box. Whereas these guys require just a little bit more break-in time. You have leather at the toe. There's also another colorway, the Palace Guard colorway. They're like white, red, and blue. Those are gorgeous, by the way. But that colorway also has the same kind of like leather on the toe cap. So a little bit of break-in time there. I'm not a fan of how it flexes on top of that. I like the way that the mesh felt better. And then instead of leather right here at the kind of like stress point, instead it is a synthetic like nubuck. To me, it just kind of feels cheap. It also is getting dirty already. But the back of the shoe, again, kind of repeats what they did on the All-Star colorway that I really liked, which is the softer textiles right in the like kind of like comfort zone areas, and then in the stress zones that kind of like encompass or engulf your foot. Those are the stronger materials for support. Definitely dig that. So there's different options for everyone. If you like a little bit more stiffness in your upper, then this and the Palace Guard OG colorway is probably going to be the best option for you. If you like something that is only stiff where you want it, like in those stress zones, but you want that kind of like very little break-in time with the rest of the shoe, then the All-Star colorway is probably going to be your best bet. The materials on both pairs though, I will say they are, you know, wearing nicely other than being dirty. Like they look great. So I think durability is going to be a strong point for these guys. Now, as far as fit is concerned, I went true to size, and to me, they fit perfect. Upon initial foot insertion, they are very tight, so I almost thought like, oh crap, these are going to be a little bit too snug, but they break in perfectly. I just think that they're great. On the other hand, that's where like some people might not like this softer setup, because I did have to readjust my laces once that kind of like initial wear was done and just tighten things up a little bit. If you don't want that, again, the stiffer materials are going to be good for you. If you don't mind that, then go with the softer stuff and you should be good to go. And the overall lockdown of the shoe is, I think, like just fantastic, especially if we're comparing it to the sock shoe that was the Clyde Court. Now, knits are popular. They are a modern upper or a modern build. These guys kind of do a little bit of both. They've got the textile, they have also got the more traditional like leathers and nubucks. So this to me is more of an ideal setup than the Clyde Court. The Clyde Court had some sloppiness to it, especially once you broke that knit in. These guys, they don't do that. They lock you in really well at the forefoot area. They lock you in nicely at the midfoot, and then the rear collar right there, again, it's just awesome. So I love the way that this fits around my foot personally. I think that they are great in comparison, especially to the last model, which, you know, you needed to go down half the size for just a snug fit, plus knit stretches, and this synthetic stuff doesn't, so you know, there is that as well. Now, the overall support's pretty standard, nothing really to complain about. The outsole right there in the base is nice and flat. It's also fairly wide. You sit in the midsole just a teeny bit, so this little section right here that extends out acts like an outrigger. It's also very stiff right there. Again, the cushion is not anything crazy, so it's not moving or compressing in certain ways, so you're definitely stable in that sense. I do not know if there's a torsional bar, but I cannot move or twist the shoe in certain areas, so it's got some support in that section. And then the overall fit and lockdown, fantastic. The rear section really contains you. Not only is there an internal heel counter, but then there's this little rubber external one right there as well that you can see. It's on both pairs and all that stuff, so I just really like these shoes. I thought that they, again, out of having only 2 shoes in decades, fantastic. And that pretty much takes care of it for the PUMA Uproar. I do definitely like these. I recommend them as well if they meet your needs. So if you don't want a ton of cushion, this is going to be a shoe that will give you everything else. If you need cushion though, on top of everything else, you might want to either steer clear of these or consider getting an insole, because that will definitely help things out as well. Now, if you have played in these shoes, let me know what you guys think about them down below in the comment section. If you wanted any more information, including their price, their weight, and their scores, all you got to do is click the link in the description box below. It'll head you over to WearTesters.com, where we've got all of that information. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. Thank you to PUMA for sending both of these pairs out there. I greatly appreciate them. They're fantastic on top of that. And until next time, guys, have a good one.
Can I just say that I deserve an award?
Why?
Because there was so many "that's what she said" jokes in that.
Look, it doesn't matter. But
there was at least 3 really good ones.
On a more important note, I forgot to say a couple things. The first thing is, this is not an ad.
No.
I've seen lots of PUMA ads.
Okay.
This is not an ad. This is a performance review. We don't take money for these. They did send the shoes though. This is not an ad. I'm just saying.
No.
And then on top of that, I did forget to say that I do recommend these for outdoors as far as the traction. Not only is the traction going to cover you outdoors, but it's also like a nice thick, kind of like a dense rubber. So its hardness is nice.
That's what she said?
You know, it's on that Viagra level of hardness. The lines though are a little soft, so I think that those will, you know, the plus is that they'll grip. The minus is that they'll burn out quickly. But, you know, the overall hardness of the rubber is good. So the only thing that's a bummer is that cushion.
It's not made for outdoors.
Yeah, like that's the thing I know I've talked about that before, but it really bums me out when like you find a shoe where you're like, yo, this rubber is dope, but the cushion sucks.
It's a hard balance.
Yeah, like it's like you never get both. You know what I mean? So it's rough. That's why I go retro. She's like, why are you wearing those? I'm wearing my 13s or whatever outside, and I'm just like, bro, they got cushion and they're solid. Like they're money. Not rolling my ankle in these things at all.
Instead, you'll like snap it in half because it's gripping
It's
so
like
hard.
so good, yeah. But I just, you know, so that's what I do.
Those were the things you
Those
needed
were the
to
2
cover.
things I needed to cover. I just forgot to say this is not an ad. Hashtag this is not an ad. And hashtag you can hoop in these outside, but like I probably wouldn't.
Hashtag isn't it great that you stuck around for the conversation?
Probably. If you didn't, then you're probably in the comments being like, are they good for outdoors?
I like these ones much better. I don't
What are
understand.
you talking about? The colorway?
Well, I love the colorway already, but we've covered that.
I gotta say it's so sassy. I love the colorway.
because I can't get over.
Damn.
I just, there's something about how they move. I really like it.
The only thing that I don't like about these, and this is a very small nitpick, I think we talked about this one other time when we talked about these before. I just wish that it was matching, you know what I mean? Like I like the way that they look. I think they're cool, but like I would love to see the teal on this side for this shoe. That way, like when you're looking at it, you have
Two shoes,
you know? So that's my only thing.
Fair enough. I don't like that they went and they took a nice soft toe and turned it to this leather.
That's the only thing. Like, there's a lot of people that do prefer this type of material though, so I understand giving them options. So in that sense, it's cool. I do like this colorway though, surprisingly. I think the yellow is weird. It's like a very, like a real dull.
It's buttery.
I don't know about butter.
It's like those Yeezys that you like.
Maybe, yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it is kind of like Betty Crocker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, like kind of synthetic butter.
Yes.
So, not quite butter, but like, it's close.